This conference will now be recorded.
I'm so excited that everybody is able to join us today with Mimi Brown. Mimi, as most of you probably know, is a producer at Good Day LA here at the Fox station. And she also has started her own show called Becoming Dope, which is super exciting in the midst of a pandemic. We're going to get to all of that. Mimi, you and I have gotten a chance to talk to a little bit, and I'm just blown away at how much you're able to accomplish.
Oh, thank you, Shay.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who is here today. I was talking to Shay and I was just thinking, like I was telling her a little bit about like what we're doing now and how there's so much opportunity for everyone to create and come up with different ideas right now. And so we just thought that this would be a great idea to kind of share that information. So before we get started, I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I started maybe, I would say, so I don't age myself, maybe like, I would, 12 years ago, I was a red carpet reporter for Us Weekly, and I did that for a really long time. But I will say it was a lot different when I started. There was no such thing as social media at the time, so we were really just like hitting the pavement with our voice recorders, interviewing the celebrities for the movie premieres or charity events or whatever it was. And I happened to meet a guy on the red carpet who worked for Fox. He was a cameraman. And I just remember saying to him, I want to do it. How do I work there? Tell me what to do to, get into television. And he ended up introducing me to his news director. And I went in, the news director said he wasn't hiring anyone. I was like, okay, well, can you still take a meeting with me? And he did. And we hit it off. And I ended up working for Fox 11 for about 3 years. And then I got laid off. They did a huge layoff. It was like in 2008 when the first recession hit and it was really,
Yeah.
really crazy. And they laid off like 200 people. And I was one of those 200 people. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? Um, so I decided to go back to school at the time in DC. So I went back to school, I got a graduate degree. And while I was there, I worked for Good Morning America. And that was really great. It was really interesting. However, being in LA and dealing with celebrities and then dealing with politics, it was just very different. And we get excited, because Angelina Jolie is doing something. They get excited because, Mitch McConnell is doing something. Like I didn't vibe with me.
Politics, wasn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't get in. Yeah, it wasn't for me. And so anyway, long story short, I ended up moving back to LA after I finished getting a graduate degree, and I worked for NBC4 out here for a while. And then a friend of mine who didn't get laid off from Fox called me and said, hey, we are hiring people back. And I think that you should come back. And so I ended up back at Fox 11 at Good Day LA. That was maybe like 4 years ago. And I've been there ever since. And now I am producing on our entertainment show, Good Day LA. And in that role, I produce celebrity interviews. If you have a new movie, if you have a new charity that you're pushing, whatever it is, they pitch me. We do stories about it. But in that role, I'm also doing, new fitness crazes, new life, anything lifestyle that you can think of. Um, People will pitch me, PR people will pitch me, regular people will pitch me. And if it sounds like it fits within the constraints of what we're doing or what we're looking for at Good Day LA, then I work with you and put you on a segment. And our segments are about 4 to 5 minutes, just depending on, what we're talking about. But it could be anything. If it has anything to do with lifestyle, um, then I'm your girl.
And Mimi, I applaud you for coming on with us because I guarantee you're going to get swamped with pitches when we're done with this.
That's okay.
But so I think what we want to know is how do we begin the process of pitching you? What are you looking for in a pitch? What is going to make our pitch catch your attention?
Okay, so I want to say right now, things are a little different. We are, we are tailoring all of our pitches right now to the pandemic, which has been a little bit difficult because, like, I'll say this, right before this hit, I had a segment scheduled with the sugar factory. They were opening in Century City, and they were going to come on and they were going to make those fancy drinks that they do with the sugar and the candy and the colors and all that stuff. And that was like the extent of our fun, you know. There was no real hard work, I hate to say that, into that, but it was more of just what's fun, what's happening, what people want to do, you know, for the weekend, what they can get into. And now our pitches are changing a little bit. So for an example, I wrote some down because I wanted to tell you guys, like, they are tailoring them for the pandemic, and I'm getting pitched things that I didn't even know that I needed until I see the pitch.
Wow.
You know, like I have someone coming on this Wednesday who sent me a pitch, and it is basically how to build your home office with things you already have in your home. Everyone's working from home right now. So there are a lot of people who need to know, like, okay, what can I use? You know, how do I set up my phone? What is Zoom? What is GoTo? What are these things? How do I, you know, the young lady that pitched me, she said that she's been doing it for the Chamber of Congress and some other people. And I was like, well, that's a great thing for our audience, because there are a lot of people who don't, you know, who, like my mother, who, you know, is in her 50s and 60s, who literally finds herself having to work from home right now, who have no idea how to set up a home office. I was like, that's a great pitch, you know? So I didn't even know I needed that until I got it, you know? There was another pitch that I got, how to find certainty in these uncertain times. And the main focus of this was how to stick to your routine, you know, like, most importantly, people need to feel like they are continuing to have somewhere to go, have something to do. And so it was like how to find routine, wake up at 8 a.m., you know, do this by 9 a.m., just finding a routine that works for you. That was another pitch that I got. If you're into yoga, 5 yoga moves that you can do at home, you know, that was something else that, you know, people can't go to their yoga class, you know, like you can be as creative right now as you can. If you can think it, it can almost be a segment right now, you know, because these are uncertain times. We've never been in something like this, and we don't know what we want until we see
Right.
it.
That's kind of,
You know what I mean? So another one, 4 easy meals that you can make when you're quarantined, you know. People are literally like, and it says only using the basics. So like if you have, you know, if you're a cook, you know, if you like to cook, you know, here's your way. If you have a cooking show, if whatever it is, you know, 4 easy meals that people can make with stuff that they have. I mean, the basics, like, I don't know, bread, I don't, you know, whatever it is, be creative, you know. Another one, how to do conference calls when you have kids. You know, someone pitched me that. I'm like, that's great, because my son is 6 and he's literally like probably gonna pop in here and like, are you done, mom yet? You know what I mean? So those are the things that I'm like, oh, that's a great idea too. And 3 tips to beat tech neck, which I didn't even know was a thing, but I guess, you know, if you're like looking at your phone all day or looking at your computer, your neck gets stiff, you know, 3 tips to beat tech neck. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea too. So I guess what I'm saying is, you can just, if you can think it, however creative, whatever your niche is, whatever you like, you know, if you can come up with a way to sell it and put some tips to it, then it's a segment right now, you know. And we're doing
right.
segments via Zoom. I think we're starting another out, because you know Zoom has had some security concerns, so we're working on something.
Right.
Nevertheless, it's still via, you know, virtual segments right now, so we can do just about anything, you know.
Wow, it really sounds like things are just wide open right now. And I've been trying to tell our host group this. This is actually a time of opportunity. It's not a time for us to sit back, because as you're saying, there's a funnel and nobody expects this beautifully produced thing right now. It's going to be this virtual Zoom, you know, production right now.
Absolutely. Like literally, I'm having people shoot things with their phone. Like the young lady that's coming on Wednesday, I'm like, shoot me 45 seconds of B-roll, use your phone.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
send it to
Uh-huh.
me. And as you talk about tip number one, we'll show the B-roll that you shot,
Right.
send me
Wow.
pictures, and I send it into the station. We still have a few people in the station, so they'll guzzy it up a little bit, and that will be the B-roll as you explain what you're talking about.
So
That's
amazing.
what it is right now.
Walk us through how we on our side as hosts create the pitch to send to you. What are you going to be looking for in that pitch? Do we need to have, as you said, a video with it? What does a nice package look like for you?
So that's a great question. So for me, I would say I like a great pitch is something that takes all the guesswork out of it for me. So you are telling me what you're going to do in that entire pitch. A lot of people, what I really like, if I'm getting specific, people will send me the anchor intro. Then they'll send me a question for the anchor, and then kind of what the answer is going to be, and then they'll send me each, like for an example, I keep using Wednesday because I'm working on it now. Number one, things that you already have in your phone, a smart phone, a smart camera with your phone. Maybe you already have one of those Zoom, those lights that people have, things like that. So what she did was she broke down step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like she wrote it out. So I don't have to guess, well, where are we going next? What's step 2? Write it out. Everything, if you can write everything out so it takes all the guesswork out. I wish I could share my screen with you guys. I pulled a couple of pitches from
You
this.
can.
I can.
I'm gonna, if you want to, I'm gonna make you an organizer, and let me make you an organizer, and then give me just 1 second, and then that would be amazing if we could see that. So I'm making you an organizer, and now there should be a little, I'm not sure on the computer, but there's a screen that's blacked out. It's literally, and you just click on it, and it'll ask if you want to share your screen. Mine is next to my microphone.
I see it.
And then if you click or tap on it, it should ask you if you want to share. Let me see what mine says when I click on it. It says, yes, screen broadcast is what mine says.
Okay, hold on, okay. Main screen. Oh, I see. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
I can
Oh, awesome. Okay.
share this with you guys, because there's this lady that she's a publicist, but I love going with her because she makes the process so much easier for me. I never have to guess or try and figure things out, which is really great because I'm doing like 3 or 4 guest segments a day, and I don't have time to guess what you want or what. Can you guys see that? Did it work? No?
It's coming. It's loading. Yep, now we can. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
Okay.
this is so helpful, Mimi.
So basically, this was for the holidays. This was fix your finances after the holiday. People, we go a little crazy after the holiday. And so, like, how to get back on track. That was the pitch. And so she sent me, exactly how the segment would be laid out. The anchor intro, right here. And then the question that the anchor might ask, and put, an answer, basically. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
How much holiday debt are people facing? What's the first step in tackling your debt? And what are some strategies for paying off your credit card? So these are the questions the anchors are asking. And I think his name is Anthony, and he is a financial expert. And so these are some of the bullet points that he will hit. So she tells me,
Right.
the bullet points that he's going to hit, and then finally decide on a payment strategy. So those are, so this is the pitch that I love working with her, because she does everything.
So this is almost like 2 pages or so that
It's
of
almost
the
like 2
pitch.
pages. Because remember, for me, when I get a pitch, I still have to sell it to the anchor, which most of the time they're just like, whatever you want to do. But I have to, so I say, okay, yes, let's do this. I still have to tell them, I have to come up with the questions for them and let them know this is what we're going to be talking about today. This is what, the answers are going to be. This is what the questions are going to be. So if this is already done for me, it makes it so much easier to get
Oops,
in.
we're gonna.
Yeah, you guys hear that?
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, so this, and then she also put suggested graphics, that's
Right.
but this is just, some of the things this is why I love working with her. I'll just say that.
Now, Mimi, did she send headshots with this, or reel, or how does she send you?
Because I've worked with her before, she did not this time, but there is another pitch that I got. Hold on.
Because most of the pitches from our group, you're not going to know us. So do you like to see us on camera, what our style is? Or
another thing. Okay, so this one right here that I got, I don't know this lady. However, this is what she did, which I liked as well. She sent 6 different topics this person could speak to, which is kind of what I went over with you guys earlier. These were the topics that I was like, oh my God, I didn't know I needed this until she sent it. But what she also does is she put in her bio at the bottom, and there's her Instagram account and a link to some of the work that she's done. So that way, here are the tips. Here's, who I am, and this is where you can find me. So that's very helpful. And I will say this, even if you don't have, what does she have? 41,000 followers on Instagram and 1 million impressions on her social media account, it doesn't matter. We just want to see that you've done something. So if you have your own YouTube channel where you've put something on there, or you have an Instagram show or whatever it may be, if you can link that, because if you have a great idea, you have a great idea. We just want to see that you've done something, or even if 2 people are watching, if you've done something and it looks great, then that's basically, that's very helpful.
Okay. And then I want to go back real quickly to the anchor intro, because I know you and I obviously are news and know exactly what you mean by that. But some people, may never have pitched, may not have been in a news setting. So what do you mean by that part of the process?
So the anchor intro is basically the toss. It's how we get to the segment. So basically this one was, how much debt are you in after the holidays, or getting rid of some of that debt after the holidays. So it's basically like, if you got carried away with your holiday shopping, you're not alone. I can't read it all because this is in the way, but basically don't beat yourself up. It's time, take action. Here are 4 ways that, you can get out of debt after being going crazy over the holidays. That's a toss. That's an anchor intro. Just something that gets us to you. Is a couple sentences. We like to keep it short so it doesn't run into your time.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Great. And I'm going to open it up for some questions if you want to come back on before we move on, because there's some other stuff I want to talk to you about too. But I think this is a good point for questions on pitching.
I need to figure out how to get back now.
So you should just be able to click back on that button and say stop sharing, or.
Okay, hold on.
When you got back in.
Stop.
There you go. Yeah, you found it.
Okay.
Okay, you're back. So awesome. And the way we'll just take a few questions, just you can unmute yourself. If nobody's talking, you can just jump in. So I'm not going to try to control who's asking. So just be courteous of each other. So we'll start with Vanessa and then go from there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mimi and Shay. This is awesome. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Of course.
A couple of questions for you. And by the way, I loved your interview with Omarosa, and it's great hearing about your journey and also just empowerment and being confident. So if anyone hasn't listened to it, it was really powerful. As far as pitching goes, a couple of questions. Are you accepting pitches from people who aren't in LA? And what about subject headlines? Are there any things you like to see in a subject headline to grab your attention?
And before you answer, those are great questions, Vanessa, but I want you to mute yourself because it's really windy. Thanks.
No, those are great questions. Listen, because of the way, oh my God, sorry guys. I don't know how to computer is connected to my phone, and
Oh, you
it's
can
like
forward your calls on your phone and then it won't do that, but that might be too much right now.
going crazy. No one
I
ever
know.
calls or texts me until now.
I found that out the hard way. I was like, the first time I was trying to conduct one of these, the phone just kept ringing. I'm like, what the heck?
I've been here all morning, like no one. So yeah, no, that's a really great question. So basically, because of this, because everything is virtual, things have changed. We are taking pitches and doing and having people, live who live in Chicago or Michigan. It doesn't matter right now, Before we used to have to be in studio. So no matter where you are, if it's a great idea, we can do it, To your second question about subject line, that's a great question. That's really good. I mean, because you've got to get my attention. I in my email, I probably get like 500 emails a week, right? So um, when I'm looking through them all, something that grabs my attention in the subject line is the best. Even if it's now with you guys, even if it's, nice meeting you on Saturday at the hangout. Like I'll know, and then you can put the pitch, because now I know that where it's coming from, certain things like that. So yes, the email pitch, the subject line, very, very important. It needs to grab my attention. Yeah.
Mimi, I'm Damona Hoffman. I'm a dating and relationship coach here in LA. And
Yes.
I do a lot. I've been very busy doing a lot of segments on like dating relationships during Corona time, as I call it. But I'm curious for how to find the right people at different shows. Like we don't want to all bombard you,
Good
but
question.
that's a thing that I kind of struggle with, like how to get in the right inbox at the right time and get to the right person that's responsible for booking these kind of segments.
You know what a lot of people do? We get a lot of people who call our assignment desk, which is very easy to do just by looking up, like, I'm Good Day LA, but let's just say you wanted to book on KTLA, Channel 5 here. You would literally just call their assignment desk and ask for an email address, say, hey, I have a segment that I'd like to pitch. Can you put me in touch with the person? And they will either transfer you or give you someone's email. It is literally that simple. I've had that happen to me before. So
Wow.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. You can just call and ask for the right person. Like they might not give you, they probably won't patch you through, but they'll give you an email. We put our email addresses online on air in the Chirons all the time. So
Is there a particular role that we should be looking for, like
yes,
what
ask
a certain level or?
a segment producer. That's what you need, a segment producer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tamara Krinsky, and my focus is science and technology and entertainment. And my question is, so say we are lucky enough to get booked, since this is all happening remotely right now, what do you need us to have on our end, equipment-wise, technology-wise, lighting-wise, so that it works for you, since you're not sending somebody over here to record for us?
Yeah, which is great. It's a great question, which is kind of why I wanted to do the segment that I'm doing on Wednesday on people, home offices and lighting and things like that, because that's a great question. People don't know what you need. I mean, honestly, right now, as long as you have a computer, we can't do Zooms from your phone. So as long as you have a laptop and it's, you have a space that's well lit, even we try not to use the sunlight because that can come and go. So if you've got a great kitchen light, do it in the kitchen. If you've got a great dining room light, do it in the dining room. Just something that does not show a shadow on your face. So if you have to practice with a friend or someone else, do that. A lot of times what we've been doing because of this, another coworker of mine will do a test call with you the night before to kind of see, how it looks in your background and give you suggestions. Even if you have to bring a lamp and put it like off to the side where we can't see it, but the light is coming in, that's great too. just something so you're well lit and you have a laptop and you have earbuds. Because television wasn't quite prepared for what's happening. I always say this, and I think I said this to you, Shay, before. We've been working in a digital space for a really long time, but television is a little bit behind. So basically, the way we do our Zoom calls is you have to have a phone, you have to have earbuds, and then you have to have a computer, because we treat the Zoom like a phoner. So we hear you through the phone and we see you through the computer. So you kind of have to have both. That's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason for that is just the audio is cleaner and reliable on the phone is why.
Yeah. So those are the
more questions. Yeah, these are great. Mimi, you have already been so helpful. I can't even tell you.
Oh, thank you.
Any more questions before we move on? I think you've just been so clear too.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Natalia.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Mimi.
Hi.
This may be a long shot, but I know that you said that you are accepting, pitches from other places like Chicago. But if you were to go a little further, let's say one country out to the Bahamas, do you think that would be something that's possible? Or are you just like, no, baby, within the 50 states?
No, listen, it is all right now about ideas. If your idea is something that is topical and it will resonate with our audience, then we are all for it right now. It does not matter right now where you are. You could be in the UK. It just doesn't matter. Right now, everyone is at home and we are just trying to feed people the information that they need. Because right now that is our job, just to get out the information and to help people in this pandemic. So if there is something that is topical and will speak to the masses, send it. You never know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And I think, what's so critical is even if, you're in, your specialty or you're an expert in something that's not for the pandemic, this is all so helpful, because there will come a time when, we're going to shift back to in some sort and there will be more news available. So, don't get discouraged if you.
Yeah, no, Shay, I was going to say,
you.
That's so true. But even now, like I had a friend who does hair, right? She pitched an idea. People are at home, you can't get to the hairdresser. How to color the grays with a box color, a box. What do you call those?
Like the hair dye.
Yes, one of those.
Might not be the official term.
It might be the official, but those are the segments that we're doing now. So whether you do hair or you have tricks for your nail, like it could be anything right now.
This is awesome. You guys take advantage of this opportunity to ask any questions. We don't get this opportunity too often. This is a nice thing for us as a group, that people like yourself and casting directors and others have been available. And so I'm just trying to maximize that. So yeah, this is exciting for us. Any more questions? Go ahead, Vanessa. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any pet
Good question.
That kind of piss you off when people pitch you no-nos, things not to do that are annoying?
The only thing, there's been like maybe, I would say like one thing in the past year that has happened that someone has pitched me, and this was kind of when we were still in studio, is that it was a young lady. She had a new book that was coming out, and it was a great book. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to get, the word out. However, when she showed up to the station, she was improperly dressed. So that was, a little like, okay, but there are some things that I assume, which I can't now, that people know, things that are too low cut, don't buy well on TV, and I remember it was kind of crazy. I remember getting an email from the executive producer who also noticed that, her dress was a little too low. So that's been the only thing. Usually I have a good, I'm able to pick great people who have great messages and have great things to say and great things to share. I cannot predict what they will wear, but now I have I put a little note in there to make sure, and I suggest colors sometimes too. But other than that, that's been the one thing that's happened to me since I've been a producer. So.
And it makes me think, what about this is great news for those that don't, for example, have a professional reel, but what about a video pitch? How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a video pitch. So that would be interesting. I mean, I guess it would be a great way to showcase your talents talking.
Right, to show where your environment would be, what it's going to look like, so you're actually seeing it.
Absolutely. No, honestly, that's a great idea. That takes a lot of guesswork.
I shouldn't have given away. Now everybody's going to be sending you video pitches in our group.
No, but that's a great idea. And I'm like, I get to see and hear all at the same time what you're thinking of doing and what you're doing. So no, that would be amazing, actually. Yeah, so I like that. If anyone wants to do that too, I'm up for it.
Okay. Well, I want to move on because I have so many exciting questions for you about the show that you were able to start in the midst of a pandemic. So Mimi has started her own show. It's called Becoming Job. If you guys didn't get a chance, I put a link in our group, and it is just absolutely amazing. So I want to find out a little bit about how you went about actually starting then your own show in the midst of this, in addition to obviously what you've just shared with us. You're doing what, all of us also want to be doing.
Well, for me, it was, I have been thinking about it for a really long time. And literally with just all the information that I've shared with you guys, I know that right now people are hungry for content. They're hungry for information. People have nothing better to do right now than to create, listen, to learn. And so I just decided, from being at work, I know a lot of people and I've come in contact with a lot of celebrities. So I just decided what I wanted to do was revisit some of the people that I thought had great stories and maybe only got 5 minutes to tell those stories. And I wanted to use that as a way to inspire others and inspire myself, because one of the things that I try and ask in the podcast that I'm doing is, what was your rock bottom moment? Because this is hard. This is really, really hard, right? There have been moments where even I'm like, can I continue to do this? Do I want it? Like, we all have those moments where we're just like, should I still continue on this road? So I want to talk to people who have been on the other side or who got to the other side, whatever we consider the other side, maybe they're household names or maybe they're leading in their field, and ask them, what was their rock bottom moment and how did they get over it and what was their inspiration to keep going. And I wanted to share that with us, this type of audience, to let us know that even when we feel like that, we can continue to keep going and there is another side to it, So oftentimes we only get 5 minutes to tell the great side of every story, but I know there's more than that. And that's just kind of what I wanted to explore with my show. So that's
and one of your first guests that you were able to book is Omarosa.
Yes.
So
it was great. It was really, really interesting. She, of course, there's a crazy story behind that too. She was actually one of my professors in college, and so we were able to kind of stay in contact. And I've had her on the show on Good Day LA a couple of times. And I know she had a book out, and I just wondered what was happening with her now. It's been 2 years since she's had her book. And sorry you guys, my son, who I said he was gonna come for his iPad charger. But it's been 2 years since her book was out, and so I wanted to know what was going on with her, and so I had her as a guest on the show. It's great.
Now, she said something I thought was so inspiring that I just loved, and she says, it's not where you're from, it's where you're going. Yeah. And that quote just really moved me. And I want to know, for you, what is it that keeps you going then? Because like you said, you've gone through a layoff, you've gone through some hard times in the industry. So what is it that has kept you motivated?
You know what? That's a great question. I feel like it's been a journey, right? It's hard, but it's rewarding. Like I feel like where I work, I'm doing something different every single day, and I'm interacting with people every single day, and I'm meeting new people, and I'm telling new stories, and I'm putting out information that I think is important for everyone, and that I think that everyone can use and learn. And so I feel like the fact that I'm having an impact on society, I think is what keeps me going, because I'm able to, you know, put out a narrative of great stories, and I'm sharing someone's triumphs. And sometimes some of the stories that I do aren't the best stories, as in, like, sometimes we're talking about sorry the death of a loved one. I did a grief segment, maybe like 2 months ago, on how to deal with grief, but those are things that happen to each and every one of us, and so I just felt like I feel like I'm able just to keep going because I'm able to tell great stories. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, and I always felt so isolated, and this helps me feel connected, and I'm able to inspire other people. So that's how I keep going. The answers.
And what is it? It seems like it does, and it seems like you have a bit of an advantage being on the producing side and now on the hosting side, to know what makes a good story, what makes for that show to be compelling. I know a lot of people in our group are trying to produce their own content. They're doing it. They're doing stories on YouTube. They're doing Instagram Live, but sometimes it's not hitting its mark. Is it because in news we call it burying the lead, or what is it that would shape a good content?
That's a great question. I feel like right now what shapes good content is I feel like people have to, it's funny because for me, even when I started my own show, I was like, this is important to me. I don't know if it's important to anyone else, right? So when you find out what you like, you will be amazed at how many other people are like, that's a great idea, And so what I tried to do was pay attention to what's happening in the world and shape, but kind of add my own twist to it and shape my content based on that. So like I said, I literally just took stories that were only like able to tell their story for like people who are only able to tell their stories for like 5 minutes, and turned that into a larger story, and I made shape the content after that. So I mean, I say right now, whatever it is that you've ever wanted to do, whether it's cooking or dating and relationships. I know someone said they had their dating and relationships coach. Right now, honestly, people are longing for, companionship or to go on a date. Like, I'm literally looking for someone who can give us some tips on how to stay connected right now, like our dating websites, like what's happening with them. I'm sure they are like booming right now, so those
They
are
are. They are. I got
those are things,
But is this a good time to be looking for a date when you can't meet in person? Like, you don't really know if you're.
and it's
Now we're gonna
virtual
get off on a whole nother thing.
no, but those are the things that people don't like when you have a niche or you have so many people, like, those are the things now that are taking off. I mean, honestly, like, is virtual dating a thing? Because I had a coworker tell me that she went on a virtual date, and I'm like, what is that? And so right now your content, you can create almost anything, even if you did your own YouTube, something on, 10 minutes where you're talking about this, because it's a thing now. People want to know. So yeah.
I want to open it up for some more questions, you guys. So go ahead and let's just hang out for a bit for a minute and jump on in with some insight or questions that you have.
Hey, this is Sean McHugh. How are you? First of all, congrats on your show.
Thank you.
So just on a technical level, that was obviously in a studio. Yes, that wasn't in your home.
Yes.
So, have you shot a bunch of episodes prior to all this insanity, or how's that all working?
It's funny you asked that because I did not know. A lot of what I shot was in March. I did a few episodes back to back. Actually, I have 4 episodes shot, and I did those in a studio beforehand. But I'm like the rest of, I'm like anybody else. How do I go forward from here? Or am I doing Zoom interviews? Like, how do I keep this? How do I keep this going? So, with that being said, I'm ordering stuff from Amazon. I'm looking at ways to get my own mics and my own equipment and go from there because yeah, I was in a studio a couple blocks from my house, which is closed now because they are not an essential business. So, but even that I had shot the episode, I needed an editor, so it was about finding an editor who could, you know, edit my episode and do what I needed them to do right now in a pandemic. So I found somebody who could do it. So it's still been a journey, still just trying to figure out how to get things done right now with certain things being done. Because usually, yes, I do work at a news station. I could probably have an editor from there do it, but right now we're so bombarded that, I have to figure that out. So there's a lot of technical stuff that I've had to figure out right now going forward with this.
You brought up some things that you're buying. Are there any specific things that you found, like a ring light or a specific type of backdrop that you have purchased or that you recommend us looking for? Because I'm in the same boat where, I'm looking on Amazon too to buy things. So I would love to know if you found anything that you think looks really great.
So for me right now, it's funny. The main thing that I've gotten is a ring light because I realize that the lighting in my house is not the best. So I purchased a ring light. The other thing that I purchased was a tripod stand. I was thinking of, I haven't gotten I'm still looking at mics. That's the only thing. Like I'm trying to figure out, like, getting recommendations from friends and some of the people that I work with who are in tech, as far as like what mics to get and there was something that I downloaded too that I bought from the App Store. I have to look it up and I'll tell you, but it is because I do a lot of voiceover sometimes, and so things like that though you can get from the App Store, and so I was able to do that. But I guess that's the only thing that I'm missing, the mic. But other than that, so the ring light, a tripod. I'm trying to decide if I want to get a camera, but I don't think I need one. I just think I want one just for other things, like just like if I want to shoot a stand up, while your phone is fine, I think being able to have the tripod, have the ring light, it just makes for better quality, especially if you're going to pitch to a studio. You want to make sure that it looks good, because if it doesn't, then they're going to think that that's what they're going to get from you. And so you want to give a great first impression.
And are you just using your iPhone or your computer? What are you using now?
Yeah, right now I'm just using my computer. Thank God, I just got a brand new laptop for Christmas. And so I've been using that. I've been conducting interviews just like how we're talking right now. That's the same type of interviews that we're conducting at work. So I feel like, hey, if it's great enough to put on TV, it's great enough for my show. So this is basically what I've been using. And I've just got the ring light so that, you guys can see me. And, but yeah, so if I'm going to but for voiceovers and for stand-ups and for other things, I'll eventually get a camera. Yeah.
Hi, as long as we're talking about tech stuff, so for the interviews that you're doing, I have very specific questions. So you're doing them over Zoom, right?
Yes, over Zoom.
So Zoom can be a little funky with audio sometimes because of the lag time. So, yeah. So are you taking care of all the audio recording on your side and doing it through the Zoom setting that allows you to record separate audio tracks, or are you recording separate audio in QuickTime and having them do the same on their end, or is there another awesome hack that you know about to help?
I wish I knew of a great, awesome hack. What I've been doing is I've literally just been using the Zoom feature, and I forget is it the gallery view with Zoom?
Yeah, and then you can use the call in, and
Yes.
you'll get better, and that's what I do. Yeah, you'll get better audio that way.
Yes.
What's
So you can be looking. Maybe I'll do a little tutorial on that, but there's an option in all of the services. I use GoToMeeting, and I'm going to tell you guys the only reason is because it's free. And even though Zoom is only 15 or 20 bucks a month now, I've got a ton of bills that are 15 or 20 bucks a month, and they're adding up. So I'm like, but they all do the same thing where you can be on the camera, but then you're calling in on the phone, and it's really simple. But I'll do a separate thing on that because I don't want to turn too techie right now. And then you'll get clean audio.
Yeah. So there you go.
Mimi.
Yeah.
Hi, who said that?
Hi, it's Shannon.
Shannon, hi.
Is this the Shannon?
It's the
Shannon O'Dowd.
I wasn't today, so I didn't do the video, but you look beautiful, Mimi.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon.
So can you talk a little bit, because I know this happened with a client just this last week, about pitching out the same segment to multiple outlets?
Yes. So, okay. I'm glad that you asked this question. If we're not in the same market, it's okay. You should not ever pitch to channel 11, which is Good Day LA, and then channel 5, which is KTLA. That's like the biggest no-no that you can do. If you do that, you should find a way to make them very, very different. They can still have an overall, the same topic, but the information within them needs to be very, very different. We're competitors for that very reason. And and a lot of times, like I know for us, if we see you on our competitor station with the same thing, we will blackball you and we will not have you back on the show. So they definitely, if you are going to pitch to multiple stations, which I suggest that you do, your pitches should be different for each station. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
That's good. Shannon, did you have that happen where somebody got found out, or what led to that question? I'm just curious.
No. I had a client that had pitched to Mimi and she had liked the segment, but then the client went and did the segment on Good Morning San Diego. And afterwards I was like, you probably should let Mimi know and see if she needs you to rework it, or if she even wants to continue to book you at all, because I just know that that's kind of a no-no. So that's why I wanted to ask.
Yes, and I did
get that question. Thank you.
Yeah, I did get that email, and it's a great pitch. It's a great story, and I really want to do it. I know that I have to. I know that San Diego, and we're different. We're different, but we're the same. And I don't know if that makes sense. Like, there's some people in San Diego that get Fox. There's some people in San Diego that can get KTLA. So Shannon's right. You really have to make sure that it's different. And so I did get that email, and the lady, she did kind of change it up for me. So I just have to see if it's still workable for our audience. That's all.
I just feel like a lot of new people going into this might not know and might pitch the same segment everywhere and be like, oh, great, I get the same segment.
Thank you for asking that. That's good. Definitely good information.
It's really, really important. Yeah. Because we're competitors, and we buy for ratings, and we can't have the same person back to back doing the same thing. So yeah.
Hi Mimi, I have a quick question too. My name's Alice. Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to ask you if you could share your email address for sending a pitch to you.
Yes, I will. Okay, it is. Are you guys ready? It is.
You know what? I'm going to do that off as a message. Do you know how to use our chat feature? Okay. If you can chat it, but I'll also, to those who were on, I'll figure out a way to get that to you. But this is, sometimes we do record the video and it goes public. So I'll make sure you guys get that. But also, Mimi, do you know how to use the chat on here? You can chat it right now to them if you know how to use it. It's a little icon that's a circle, and you can just say chat to everyone. Yeah, and then just shoot it out, and then they'll have it before we hang up. because I actually don't think I have your email. I just realized I have your phone number and I have your IG. There we go. So, and if you didn't get it, if you guys don't know how to use the chat feature, go ahead and just in the group afterward, send me a DM or something, and I'll make sure you get it if you're not quite sure how to use that. But I saw it come up, so thank you, Mimi.
Yeah.
Any more questions before we get ready to let Mimi go? And also, I just want to say the reason we really want to thank you too, Mimi, is because Mimi's usually in bed by, you said 8, right? Because she works the morning shift. You guys don't know this. She's up in the middle of the night to get that news out. That was one of the shifts I never wanted because I do not have the discipline to be in bed at 8 o'clock at night.
Listen, I have no life. 8 is being generous. Like, I'm usually in bed. By 6 o'clock, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting tired. So yeah,
Wow.
it's, because we're up at 3 a.m. We come on air at 4 a.m. And so we, our days are very short, that's to say the least.
Yeah.
Hi,
sorry. Demona. Let's get to Demona and then who
hasn't. Oh, my quick
Hi,
question.
it was Yasmin. Sorry. Hi, I know I'm on the phone, so I'll ask my question after Samantha. Thank you.
Go ahead. Call. I can't see who the caller it is. It says caller 4. What is that show where it's like caller 4? You're on the line.
Hi. Sorry. Hi, it's Yasmin. I know I could only call in. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for giving up your time and for doing this as well, both Shay and Mimi. Really appreciate it. I had a question, seeing that we were just talking about your timings and such, which is crazy. Very admirable. So what would be the best time to actually pitch? Is there a day that you go through pitches, or do you go through them on a daily basis?
That's a great question. I go through them on a daily basis, and honestly, I am glued to my phone because news is always happening. It's always evolving. So I get pitches, all the time. For the most part, I try and turn my ringer off or my dings off at like 8 o'clock. My phone is set to do not disturb. But when I wake up at 3 a.m., I go through things and I see, I go through my emails and I try and respond. So if you happen to get an email from me at 4 a.m., it's because that's, my time to respond. If you send it at like 10 p.m., it'll probably be close to the top of my email when I wake up. So that's, a good tip to, the kind of the later you send it, the closest to the top it'll be when I wake up and I go through my emails. But there is no set time because the way the news evolves, anything can happen at any time. So, I've been woken up at 1 a.m. to come to work because something has happened. Someone has done something crazy and, so it's,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, just a really quick question then, because you put your phone on do not disturb, and this is more from like a production side. When you do get those kind of emergency calls for 1 a.m., how are you? Okay, I probably should look this up for the feature of seeing when there's an emergency that you can be contacted.
Yeah,
it's
no,
obviously internal by your team.
The numbers that are in your favorites will automatically ring. So like my family knows not to bother, but if it's work and if it's saved as a favorite, which my job is saved as a favorite, like if they call me, then it'll yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We'll take just a couple more questions.
Everyone. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, caller 3 now. I really feel like I'm on a show. Or maybe it's a radio DJ is what I'm thinking of. I'm being transported way back in my past. Caller 3, you're on the air.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Sierra, but I go by C, and it's nice to meet everyone. Just quick question. Do you guys have any recommendations on maybe some ebooks or how-to books just to kind of keep us abreast? Because some people are naturally talented. For instance, just a quick brief story about me. I'm not necessarily, we'll say, school trained. This is kind of natural talent. So a lot of things that I've been able to do on red carpet, I just want to make sure that my skills are staying abreast. Now that I physically can't go to certain networking events and things like that and meet certain people, what recommendations would you guys have to kind of keep the new ones that's coming in up to par?
I'll take that. Shannon, are you still on our call? I think Shannon might have jumped off. But Shannon, I was going to recommend you, number one, as a resource. And Shannon's blog, if you just literally start reading through her blog, you will learn so much. And in Host in LA, we have the resource link. That's why we post it. If you just Google, like in the search, put, training or something, there's all kinds of resources that'll come up in the group as well. That's a lot of what that resource links are designed for. But like I said, Shannon's blog is a great place to start. Shannon, do you have some other things that you would recommend? And you wrote a book too. She has your book. Now we're plugging Shannon, but that's okay.
Thanks, Shay. Yeah, I did write a book. It's 3 parts, but the whole first section is just for hosts. So I think there really is some good stuff in there. I also do, I do the blog, and then my Instagram, I do a lot of, tips and coaching advice on there as well. So yeah, and then I'm always willing to do a call with somebody just to kind of help them get started and figure out some sort of a beginning game plan or wherever they are game plan. So yeah.
And then, thank you, Shannon. I also do private coaching, and then also, there's just so many resources in the group. Another great blog is by Barbara Brunna-Abel. She's one of our casting directors as well. So, but maybe we'll do something also separate on that. But Mimi, I want to just get back to you and see if there's anything before we wrap it up you'd like to let us know, or anything else that we should have asked that we didn't ask.
Trying to think. I wrote some notes. I think we touched on everything. I would just encourage people to, whatever it is that you have always wanted to do, now is the time to do it. And it's probably a segment, so write it up and send it to me, and we'll figure out how we can, put it together. I have this thing, actually, a couple of people that Shannon has sent me, they were first time, I put them on TV for the first time, so it's not like, just because you've never done anything that you can't get on TV, send me your pitches. If they're great, we will work through it and see how we can make it happen. So I believe in, helping people, because people have helped me. So never feel like, you can't do this because you've never done it before. You can. So that's it.
Yeah, and what I love just about this time, you don't need that, killer reel right now. You don't need these, $1,000 headshots that I just took just before this happened. It really is about the idea and just rudimentary tools. It is the great thing. I mean, if people knew what I use to do this stuff, they would be like, oh my God, is she in the ghetto? Well, yeah, basically I'm in a tech ghetto, but you can make it work, you guys. So thank you, Mimi, because this has been so inspiring, so encouraging. We really just want to support you as well. So make sure you listen to Mimi's Becoming Dope, is the name of the show. They can find it on YouTube, or where else can they find
just
your
search
show?
YouTube, called search Becoming Dope, and it'll pop right up.
Because that will really also, yes, because C asked about that. That's another great way to learn. Just look at shows like that Mimi has done, or other people in the group have done, and you'll see some of the best, what they're producing and how to get to that level where they're at. And just your storytelling and your interviewing skills and everything like that, and how you're creating that connection with your guest. And so, Mimi, you've just been a wealth of knowledge for us today. And I know that we could probably talk to you for another hour, but I do want to respect your time and say thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Your questions were amazing, and I love doing this. So please reach out to me. You have my email. I promise to get back to everyone. Like I can't promise it'll all be, within the same day, but I will get back to everyone that sends me an email. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Mimi.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
It was so good. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining our call. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Shay.
Okay, I'm going to pause.
Thank you.